Hello, my name is Dr. Phil Slonkosky, and I'm the Chief Science Geek here at Integrative Health Supplements. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the relationship between the microbiome and the endocannabinoid system. Because an emerging science that's coming out right now is showing that the gut, the center of our body, where all of our food is digested, is affected by the endocannabinoid system. And this is going to have dramatic repercussions because right now, CBD is so hot and popular in the marketplace. And probiotics, which have been around for a long time, are starting to evolve, and we're starting to get better research. So the idea that maybe the two products can work synergistically, can work together, is something that I want to talk to you about in this video. So first, for those of you that don't know about the microbiome, here's a little refresher. When science started reviewing and trying to understand the human genome, and they started trying to study all the different genes in our body, they discovered that there were actually more genes that were made up from all the different types of microbes that live in our body. As a scientist, as someone who has studied medicine for a long time, it wasn't until I had been in practice for a while that it dawned on me that when we talk about bacteria, the first thought that many of us have is that bacteria is a bad thing. When I talk about having a bacterial infection or that you have bacteria somewhere, it's a negative thought. Now, the sad part is that couldn't be farther from the truth. Only a small percentage of bacteria are actually bad. The vast majority of bacteria out there are not only important, but necessary for sustaining life as we know it. When it comes to our bodies, we are 10 times or more bacteria in cell count than the actual cells in our body. So in reality, each of us is really a walking rainforest, a walking combination of many different types of organisms that exist in a balance that is necessary for us to live a healthy and happy life. So as they were starting to study and discovered that there is this entire microbiome made up of not just bacteria, but fungi and other different compounds that don't just, when you say microbiome, I guess what I'm trying to say is it encompasses everything. If we're talking about just bacteria, the right term is microbiota. But in layman's term, when people talk about the microbiome, they are referencing pretty much the bacteria, but for those of you looking for a more specific term, microbiota specifically addresses the bacteria, but all the other parts that make up the environment is the entire biome. So it's not just the bacteria, but other things. So anyway, as they started learning more about the gut and the gut bacteria, they were starting to understand that having a healthy immune system, like what's directly related to that, is how healthy your gut is. 70 to 80% of our immune cells, of our immune system, our body's ability to recognize things that are going to attack us is found in our gut. I mean, how incredible is that? So when we look at the emergence of autoimmune disease, for example, today, what is often pointed to as a cause of the different types of autoimmune disease is a term called leaky gut. And to kind of paraphrase what leaky gut is, your gut lining is one cell thick. And when the bacteria in your stomach gets out of balance, certain foods that you eat can leak through that membrane that is no longer tight. Because when you don't have the right bacteria in balance, or you get the wrong bacteria in your gut, that bacteria will start producing things that are called endotoxins and inflammatory products that cause your stomach lining to open up, to form these gaps. And when these gaps form, these big particles of food that one time couldn't get through there suddenly start dropping, get into your bloodstream, and your body says, hey, you're not supposed to be in there. And your immune system kicks in. Now, if those particles that are in there that your immune system's recognizing look like other parts of your body, they're going to attack the other parts too. Now, that's just a very simple way of explaining it, but what I want you to take away from that is that your gut is a very sensitive system. And when we eat the wrong foods and have the wrong bacteria, that collaborates in making our body unhealthy. Fatigue, brain fog are probably some of the biggest symptoms many of us have that we may not know are related directly to the food we eat, how we sleep at night. 60 to 70% or more neurotransmitters come from the bacteria in our gut and how our food is digested. I mean, doesn't it make sense? If you were going to have the path of least resistance to transport stuff, why wouldn't you go directly from the gut to the brain? The research that's coming out right now is absolutely fascinating, and there's plenty of more stuff you can read. But what I want you to understand so far in this video is that there is a direct relationship between the food that we eat, the bacteria that grows in our gut, and it relates directly to the brain. And frankly, to the whole body, but in this video, we're specifically focusing on the gut to the brain. Now, what makes a good probiotic? Because before we talk about inflammation in the body, it's important to recognize that the gut, which is at the center of a lot of this inflammation, needs to have the right stuff. Now, there's a lot of different probiotics out there on the market. And when you're looking for a good probiotic, there's a few things you want to keep in mind. One, you want to make sure that the probiotic being sold lets you know where the strains of bacteria come from. Again, there are a lot of products on the market that have been around for a long time. But if you don't know where the strain comes from, nor what the strain's going to do, why are you putting it inside your body? The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that they explain how that probiotic's going to survive and work. You know, our gut has a pH of around 1 to 3, and a lot of the probiotics we might take are going to die in that acidic environment. And if you look at some of the top emerging probiotics out there that have good studies behind them, they have ways in which they get through that acidic barrier and get into your small and large intestine, where they can colonize and propagate. Because the idea of a good probiotic is that it has to be able to get in there and sustain and promote. Another thing you want to look for is you want to make sure that the probiotic doesn't need to be refrigerated or anything. Because again, your body has an internal temperature that I think is a little warmer than your refrigerator. So I would encourage you, though, to make sure that you ask the right questions when looking at the different probiotics you may already be taking. Because there's a lot of good new emerging science out there that's giving us good data for how and what to look for when choosing a good probiotic, because you want it to do something. Now, if you can get your gut in the right place, the next thing is decreasing inflammation in the body. And as we've discussed in other videos, CBD and hemp oil have been shown to decrease inflammation, and they're researching it heavily. So if you can decrease the inflammation in the gut, and what they're showing in some research studies is that CBD, when it interacts with some of the cells in our gut, in our digestive system, it decreases the inflammation in there, decreases some of the inflammatory products that are caused by the imbalance that exists there. Because again, what does CBD want to do? CBD wants to drive homeostasis. It wants to drive balance. And inflammation and dysbiosis. Now, dysbiosis means an imbalance in the bacteria, good bacteria versus bad bacteria. When you have dysbiosis going on, you're out of balance. So when you can synergize the two, you have the potential of trying to bring a balance and a harmony into the body. So how does this all play together? What's being researched right now is the connection between the bacteria that we ingest, the good probiotics, as they quiet the gut down, and how that alone is able to help improve immune and neurotransmitter function. So if you look at what's happening in the world of CBD, what is CBD doing? CBD is helping and being shown to help balance out how neurotransmitters interact, is showing that it likes to drive balance. There's some amazing research going on with CBD and irritable bowel syndrome and some of the other inflammatory bowel diseases out there. So in conclusion, what I hope you can start to understand and start to think about is that first and foremost, you need to look at where your gut is at. You need to look at what bacteria you're ingesting. And that in part is going to be from the foods that we eat. So beginning to understand what foods you eat and what bacteria they help to promote, whether they're good or bad, is a great place to start. The second thing is, if you know that your diet needs some help, looking for a good probiotic is going to be a great step forward in helping to get your body in a better state of healing. I think what we're going to see in the future is going to be something where unless you have your gut in order, all the other treatment modalities we do are only going to work so well. But if we can get our gut in order and get our body in balance, our ability to respond to the diseases that we face, to the cancers that many of us face, is going to be better. Each of us has the ability to heal within ourselves. We just need to find out what's unique about us. The idea of personalized medicine is evolving and is coming. And I think if you take away anything from this video, it's that the answer to the real question that we are all looking for, and that question is, what do I need to do to help myself feel better? Is to really stop and take a look at what we need to do in a personalized way. The same probiotic might not work for everybody. You might have to do something a little different. But the important thing is that you're asking the question, what am I doing for my gut? What am I doing for the food that I eat that helps fuel my gut? And what am I doing to make sure the right bacteria gets in there? And if you're looking for things to help decrease inflammation, what things are also available out there? It's an amazing time. Science is emerging and moving so fast on this. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please ask us. Because as always, your questions help us to be better and to learn more. Thank you for watching. If you want to continue to gain new information or new questions that we might be posing, by all means, please subscribe to any of our channels. Thank you.